All right, so we're going to do fraction operations, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do addition. When adding fractions, we have to have common denominators. What the heck is a denominator? If we have a fraction like this, and let's say we have a number here and a number here, which one is the denominator, the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom, okay? So that guy right there, that's the denominator, okay? So what is this one?
Numerator.
All right. So that's how you read a fraction, okay? So in order to add fractions, the bottoms have to be the same. The denominators have to be the same. So if I have like 1/4 plus 3/4, do I have to do anything to it? No, because they're already the same. These two are the exact same thing. So all I do is carry it over, and then I add the top numbers. So 1 plus 3 is 4. So 4/4 is the same thing as 1. Okay? So that's an easy version of adding. But sometimes you don't have the same denominator. So let's say I have 1/3 plus 1/4. Okay? On this one, I cannot add the denominators. I can't add anything yet because these two have to be the same. Okay, so I have to see what can the 3 become that the 4 can also become. Okay? The easiest way is by multiplying those two, because we get a 12. Okay, because they can both become 12. Come on, focus thing. It's a little blurry, huh? There we go. All right, so they can both become a 12. Is there anything else they can both become? Like a 3 can become a 6, a 9, a 12, a 15. A 4 can become a 8, a 12, a 16. So the same one they share is that one right there, the 12, right? So that's what we're going to choose. Okay, that's the lowest common denominator. I'm sure there's more down here, but I'll need those. Then we have to simplify a lot. So how does the 3 become a 12?
It's frozen. By 4.
By 4, right? So if I make it by 4, if it froze, just listen, because it's recording. It'll be on there. Okay? So if I make this a 12, I have to multiply it by 4 to get there. So I'm going to have to do the same thing to the top. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 1 times 4 is 4. So now I have 4 over 12. 4 over 12 and 1 over 3 are the exact same thing. Just one's a simplified version of the other one. Okay? Now the other one, I got to do the same thing. So this one, I'm going to have to multiply by 3 to get a 12. Okay? So I have to do times 3 on the top also. So 1 times 3 is 3. Yes? Yes?
Yes. Frozen.
I know it's frozen. If it's frozen, just listen really well. Okay? I'm gonna send you guys the video anyway. All right. So if I have 4 12s plus 3 12s. Okay, that's still the exact same problem as the original. It's still the same 1/3 plus 1/4, except now they have common denominators. So now I can do it. So this is a 12 on the bottom. You just carry it over, and then you add the 2 top numbers. 4 plus 3 is 7. So we get 7 12s. Okay, and 7 12s is already in simplest form. I cannot simplify it anymore. So right there, we're good to go. Okay. If you have mixed numbers, do you guys even know what mixed numbers are?
Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Should I just invite him? It's because he said he's having problems.
Yes,
So
invite him, please.
I'm gonna invite him through like the Microsoft.
Yes, invite him. All right, so if we have mixed numbers is when you have a whole number and a fraction next to it. Okay, 2 and 1/3, or 1 and 1/8. Those are all mixed numbers. Okay, because the 2 is a whole number and the 1/3 is a part. It's a fraction. If I need to add this to say, I don't know, just a regular fraction like 3/4, I still have to have common denominators. Okay, so right here I don't, so I'm gonna have to do the same thing. But before I do that, I'm gonna do Texas because that's gonna make it easier for me. Okay, you guys know what Texas is?
Yes.
Okay. When you make it into an improper fraction, or in other words, a fraction that has a topper numerator than a bigger numerator than a denominator. Okay. So to do Texas, you multiply the denominator times the whole number, and then you add the numerator. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, so I get 7 over 3. Okay, if I divide 7 by 3, I'm going to get 2.333 repeating, which is the same thing as 2 1/3. Okay, now I can just drop this fraction down here. Okay, so now I have 3/4 right there being added to 7/3. So now I have to find a common denominator. Same thing as I did the last time. I'm going to find what the 3 and the 4 can become. I know it's the same one as the last one, so I know they can both become 12s. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 12s on the bottom. And to make a 3 turn into a 12, I multiply it times 4. So I got to do the same thing to that 7. So that becomes a 28. And on the other one, to make that 4 into a 12, I have to multiply by 3. So I do the same thing to the top, and that becomes a 9. So now I have 28 over 12 plus 9 over 12, okay, which is the same exact problem as we started with. 2 1/3 plus 3, or plus 3/4. It's the exact same thing. Okay, the only thing is that it looks a little bit different now. Okay. So now I can add. I can add the top numbers, the numerators, and the 28 plus 9 is 37, and the 12 stays on the bottom. Okay? So this is an improper fraction. 37 over 12 is improper because the numerator is bigger than the denominator, so I need to change that. Okay, so to change it into a mixed number, either I can divide and get a decimal answer, but I don't want to because that's horrible. Decimals are horrible. So I'm going to just do this. The 12 stays on the bottom. Now I divide. How many 12s go into 37? Well, I know that's 3, and that gives me 36, and what's left is 1. So now I have my answer in simplest form and in mixed number, 3 and 1/12. Okay, so that's how you solve these right there. Okay. Now we can do subtraction. For subtraction, it's the same thing. Okay, same thing. We do need common denominators. So let's say I have 7/8 minus 1/8. I have to have common denominators. On this problem, I do. I have 7/8 minus 1/8. So the 8 just carries over, and then the two numerators get subtracted. So 7 minus 1 is 6. Okay, so 6 over 8 is the answer, but it's not its simplest form. When you take your STAR test or whatever test you're going to take, they're always going to give it to you in the simplest form, so you do have to simplify. These two, 2 fits into both of those. 2 fits in 6 3 times, and 2 fits into 8 4 times. And that cannot be simplified anymore. So the answer for this one is 3 over 4, or 3/4. Okay? If they don't have common denominators, let's do 7/8 minus 1/5. Those do not have common denominators, okay? So now we do have to find common denominators. So again, we find what the 8 can become and the 5 can become. So like the 8, until it gets to what, 40, that's when it becomes something that the 5 can become. The 8 can become 16, 24, what else, 32, and then 40. The 5 can become 10, 15, 20, 30, or 25, 30, and then 35, and then 40. So the common one is the 40, okay? So you really have to know your multiplication tables in order to do this quickly. You don't have to do this whole list. You should just know that that's what they equal the same, okay? So I know that I have to change it to a 40 on both of them. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up where they both have 40s on the bottom, on the denominator. And then I'm just going to ask myself, well, how does an 8 become a 40? Well, so you do times 5. So I do the same thing to the top. 7 times 5 gives me 35. Okay? So it's like we're unsimplifying it. We're doing the opposite of simplifying a fraction. We're making it bigger. Okay? Now the other one I got to do times 8 because 5 times 8 gives me 40. So I got to do times 8 up here. 1 times 8 is 8, and that's what I get. Okay. So now it's still the same exact problem. 35 over 40 minus 8 over 40 is the same exact problem as 7/8 minus 1/5, except they look different. Okay, they're unsimplified versions of those two fractions on the top. So now I can subtract because they do have common denominators. They both have 40 on the bottom. So now I can do that. So 35 minus 8 is 27 over 40. The 40 stays. The 27 and the 40, nothing fits in both of those. That's the same, so I cannot simplify anymore. Like the 40 I can cut in half, but the 27 I can't. And 27 fits 9 and 3 and 27 and 1, but none of those fit into 40. So now I'm done. Okay, so that one's set. If they have mixed numbers, it's the same thing as addition. So let's say I have 3 and 1/8 minus, let's say, 1/2. Okay? Same thing as we did in the last one. We did Texas because this one does have a mixed number. It has a whole number with a fraction next to it. It's 3 and 1/8. And from that, we're going to take away 1/2. Okay? So let's go ahead and do Texas. So I'm going to do 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So that gives me 25 over 8. And on the other one, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm just going to put 1/2. So now I have two denominators that are different. I got an 8 and a 2, so I'm going to find something that they can both become. Well, the 8 can become an 8, 16, a 24, a 32, a 40. The 2 can become a 2, a 4, a 6, and an 8. So in this one, I only have to change one of them. I don't have to change the 8 because the 2 can become an 8. So I'm going to do times 4 here, and that's going to give me the 8 that I need. And then I'll do times 4 to the numerator, and that's going to give me 4. So 4 over 8 is the same exact thing as 1 over 2. It is half. Half of 8 is 4, just like half of 2 is 1. So it's the same fraction. It just looks different. So now I can get rid of that and just subtract. Because now they have common denominators. Now I have 25 over 8 minus 4 over 8. And 8 carries on. And 25 minus 4 is 21. Okay? So now it's an improper fraction because my numerator is bigger than my denominator. I cannot simplify it because the same thing doesn't fit into both of these. Okay, in 21, I can only fit 1, 3, 7, and 21, but I can't fit any of those into 8. Just 1. But that's not going to change anything. So I'm just going to leave it alone, but now I'm going to make it into a mixed number. The 8 carries over, so 8 goes like that. How many 8s go into 21? Well, 2 of them, because that gives me 16, because if I go 3, I go to 24, and that's too much. So the difference between 16 and 21 is 5. Okay, now I'm left with 2 and 5/8. Okay? And that's how you do those. And if you have 2 mixed numbers, well, you do the same thing. You do Texas to both of them. And then you find the common denominator. Okay? Multiplication is the easiest one because it's just straight across. So if I have 3/5 times 1/6, I don't have to find common denominators. I can just go ahead and start. And it's always this way. It's never cross multiply, not 3 times 6, not 5 times 1. It's straight across. So here I have 3 times 1 is 3, and 5 times 6 is 30. And that's my answer. It is right. It's just not in simplest form. And this one, I can fit 3 into both of them. Up here, I can fit it once. And down there, I can fit it 10 times. So I get 1/10 as my answer. Okay. If I have a mixed number, let's do a mixed number. Let's do 1 and 6. 11, so let's make it a little weird, times 1/3. Okay? 1 and 6/11 times 1/3. Well, I can't multiply straight across yet because I can't have a whole number. I need to have just the numerator and just the denominator. So that's what I need. I need to do Texas. Okay? Yes?
When the numerator is bigger than the denominator, what do?
You divide. I'll show you right now. Okay? All right, so 11 times 1 is 11, plus 6 is 17, so I get 17 over 11, and times 1/3, okay? So here I need to multiply straight across. 17 times 1 is 17, and 11 times 3 is 33. I can't simplify those, for 117 is prime, so I can't simplify that at all. So that is my answer, okay? I had a question, what do you do when the numerator is bigger? I taught this to fifth graders a long time ago. It's really easy. So say I have 32 over, I don't know, 3. Okay? So that's an improper fraction. So I taught them to smile because it's easy. Okay, you see the smile? So all that does is carry over the 3. Okay, so the 3 carries over. That still stays as your denominator. And then you divide. How many 3's go into 32? Well, I know there's 10 of them, so that's your whole number. Because 10 whole 3's fit into 32. And that gives me 30, and on the top, you just put the difference. So the difference between 32 and 30 is going to be 2. So that is my answer. So these two are the same fraction, it's just they look different. This one is an improper fraction, and this one is a mixed number. Okay, so this one's proper, because it has a whole number with a proper fraction, and this one's improper because its numerator is bigger than the denominator. Okay? All right. So let's do one more multiplication problem. Let's do 2 mixed numbers. So let's go 2 and 2/3 times 1 and 1/8. Okay? So again, I can't just go straight across because this dog is barking. Hello. The dog's barking. All right. So I gotta do mixed. I gotta do Texas on both of them. So I'm gonna go and do Texas on that one, Texas on this one. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, so I get 8/3 right there, times 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9, so I get 9/8. And being that it's a multiplication problem, I do not have to find common denominators, I can just multiply straight across. So 8 times 9 is 72, and 3 times 8 is 24. Okay? So if you notice, that is an improper fraction. This numerator is bigger than my denominator. But they're both even numbers, so I can start simplifying it first. It'll make it easier if you simplify it first. So like half of 72 is 36, and half of 24 is 12. So this is still my same fraction, it's just in simpler terms. And I can go even further because half of 36 is 18, and half of 12 is 6, and I can still go further. Half of 18 is 9, and half of 6 is 3. And I can still go further. Half of 9, no, I'm not halves anymore. Now it's 3's. I could fit 3 in both of those. I could fit 3 3's there, and 1 3 there. So I get 3/1, which is the same thing as just regular 3. Okay, just the whole number 3. So that would be my answer. Okay. Just like if I was to divide this, 72 divided by 24, I'd get 3. Okay, so that is my answer. So all I did was simplify, 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 simplify until I got down to the answer. Okay, so sometimes you don't have to divide. All right. All right, now let's do division. Division and multiplication are pretty much the same. Okay, so let's say I have 7/8 divided by 1/2. Okay. Well, I can't go straight across. I can't do any of that. What I have to do is I have to keep this fraction. I have to flip this fraction, and I need to change this guy to multiplication. Okay. So I don't know if you saw this last year with the KCF or KFC. I usually call it KFC because it's easier to remember. So KFC, just like Kentucky Fried Chicken, you keep the first fraction, you flip the second fraction, and you change the division to multiplication. Okay? So the first one stays as 7/8. We don't do anything to it. The next step is to flip the second fraction. So instead of 1/2, I'm going to put 2/1. And my division needs to change to multiplication. So now it's a multiplication problem. So now I just go straight across, just like we did before. So 7 times 2 is 14, and 8 times 1 is 8. So I'm left with an improper fraction. Okay, so if I get 7/8 and I cut them in half, I'm going to get a bigger than 1 number. Okay, So these I can cut them in half. I can get 7 over 4, and now I can't cut them in half anymore. I can't fit anything equal into both of them. So I'm just going to do the smile thing, make it into a whole number with a fraction or a mixed number. So the 4 stays there. How many 4s fit into 7? 1, because I can't go 2 because then that's 8. That's too many. And then the difference is between 4 and 7 is 3. So that's my answer, 1 3/4. Okay, so that's how you do fractions. You keep the first fraction, you flip the second fraction, and then you change the multiplication to, or the division into multiplication. And then you just follow the steps for multiplication straight across, and you solve it. Okay, we'll do one more, but with mixed numbers. So let's say I have 3 1/4, and I want to divide that by, I don't know, let's say 3/5. Okay, so I do need to keep the first one, but I can't yet because it's a mixed number. I need to make it into improper. That way I can multiply. So you can do it now, or you can do it afterwards. It doesn't really matter. So let me just take care of it now. So this is multiplication, that's division, that's Texas. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13, so I get 13 over 4, so that one's done, okay? So that's my keep, okay? Next step I have to do is I have to flip this fraction, so I'm going to put 5 over 3 instead of 3 over 5, and I'm going to change this guy from division to multiplication. So now I just multiply straight across. 13 times 5 is 50, 65. And 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? So now I don't know if I can simplify, but let's just do this anyway. Maybe I can simplify later. The 12 carries on. How many 12s go into 65? 5 of them. That gives me 60. And the difference is 5. The difference between 60 and 65 is 5. So that's my answer right there. Okay, so that is how you divide fractions. That's how you do all the operations with fractions. Okay.